You wake up in the middle of the night. You're not scared. You actually feel calm. And you think your sleep is broken. But what if I told you that for almost 300,000 years of human history, you're actually sleeping like our ancestors did? For modern humans, this feels wrong. But before artificial light, the night was a different world, a time of fire, incredible storytelling, and a sleep pattern that we've forgotten. This journey into the past might just change what it means to be human. Tonight, we're uncovering what our ancestors actually did after dark. For literally almost all of human history, when the sun went down, it was game over. The world beyond the light belonged to predators, and our earliest primate ancestors, going back 1 million years ago, were on the menu. Before humans mastered fire, the night was insanely dangerous. Anthropologists studying modern hunter-gatherer groups have documented this reality, and we have solid evidence of this past. Just imagine it. You're huddled together, and every little sound is amplified by the total darkness. The night was just about surviving until sunrise, and then one thing changed everything. I'm talking about fire. The second we learned how to control fire, we basically hacked the night. Fire pushed the darkness back and created a bubble of light, warmth, and most importantly, safety. Inside this circle of light, life completely transformed. The usable hours in the day got longer, giving our ancestors time for more than just surviving. But that's a huge claim, right? How could we possibly know what they talked about? Because we have proof. In a study published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, anthropologist Polly Wiesner spent years recording the conversations of the Juhoansi people, who still live the original human lifestyle. What she found is absolutely mind-blowing. During the day, their conversations were practical, planning, hunting, and social gossip. But at night, around the fire, everything flipped. A staggering 81% of their talk shifted to stories, myths, and tales. Over thousands of generations, this is how our species built its world. This wasn't just chatter. This was the mechanism for creating human culture. The campfire became the original theater. It was the place where a bunch of individuals became a tribe. This is where humans learned to be human. Okay, this is where it gets crazy. You think you're supposed to get a solid 8 hours of sleep, right? Wrong. That's a super new idea. Historians have rediscovered something mind-blowing. You were not designed to sleep in one solid block. A historian named Roger E. Kirch published a paper after digging through hundreds of historical records, diaries, court records, and medical texts. He found over 500 references to a pattern called segmented sleep. Scientists and translators helped uncover these lost stories. Here's how it worked across the planet for thousands of years. People went to bed for their first sleep. Then, they would wake up after midnight for an hour or two. Finally, they'd go back for a second sleep. These references were so common, people mentioned them like nothing. A doctor from the 1500s even said this was the best time for intimacy. This wasn't wasted time. It was a unique and valued part of the night, a world that science has now brought back to light from the fire.
And modern science actually backs this up. In the 1990s, a psychiatrist at the National Institute of Mental Health named Thomas Ware conducted an experiment. He put a group of volunteers in 14 hours of total darkness every day for weeks. At first, they just slept a lot, but then their sleep spontaneously reorganized itself into a new pattern. Without anyone telling them to, each participant started sleeping in 2 distinct blocks, with a 1 to 3 hour break in between, exactly like the history described. Their bodies woke up an ancient program. But here's the most powerful part. During that quiet, wakeful period, their brains were producing elevated levels of prolactin. The hormone released put them in a state of consciousness that most modern humans have never experienced. It wasn't insomnia. It was a feeling of profound, tranquil stillness that our ancestors knew every evening by the fire. So if this was the normal human sleep pattern for most of history, why did we stop? The answer is another massive revolution, the Industrial Revolution, which gave us artificial light. You have to understand that for nearly all of our 300,000 years, the night was dark. Even in medieval towns and medieval European cities, life was ruled by the sun. It's only the most recent generation we have to think about this differently. With gas street lamps and later, the electric light bulb, we erased the night. The line between day and night got blurry. At the same time, the world became obsessed with productivity. Sleep started to be seen not as essential, but as lazy. That quiet, reflective hour was now viewed as wasted time. As the 1800s went on, mentions of first and second sleep just faded away. At the exact same time, a new problem started popping up in medical books:
6. Insomnia. Our internal clock, our brain programming, that evolved over millions of years, is built to sync with the cycle of light and dark. The flood of artificial light, especially blue light from our screens, totally disrupts this ancient rhythm. Light hits your retina, and your brain interprets it as daytime. This stops the body's production of melatonin, the hormone that regulates your sleep cycle. Your body doesn't know it's time to sleep, but the ancient programming is still inside you. Researchers saw this in a study where they took people camping without any artificial light. By the end of the week, their hormone release for melatonin had shifted by 2 hours, syncing them perfectly with nature. For modern humans, waking up in the middle of the night isn't necessarily a disorder or a sign your body is malfunctioning. It could be your body trying to enter a quiet, reflective state, a forgotten phase of human consciousness. So the next time you're staring at the ceiling at 2 a.m., your first instinct might be to panic. But what if you looked at it differently? What if you're not suffering from insomnia, but are actually experiencing a biological echo from your ancestors? The anxiety we feel doesn't come from waking up. It comes from the modern idea that our sleep is broken. Modern science helps us understand this deep, ancient rhythm, a rhythm that shaped our civilizations, our stories, and our bodies for over 300,000 years. That midnight wakefulness might not be a bug. It could be a connection to a time when the night was a completely different world. Have you ever felt this? Let me know in the comments. And if you think this history is as wild as I do, smash that subscribe button. You are not broken. You are ancient.